Listen, following football costs enough money already, so don't let your mobile bill mug you off. Rocket Mobile gives you unlimited everything for £16 a month. No nonsense. Powered by Vodafone and Free, plus exclusive content and prizes when you switch on over. Scan the QR code or click the link and put that cash back into football.
Hi, welcome to AFTV. I've got Marty with me. We're just drawn 0-0 to Liverpool at the Emirates. Hurts a little bit more, we're saying, at the Emirates. We're unbeaten here. We didn't lose, but a 0-0 draw is not what... I mean, we was eating before and you went 5-0.
No, I went 3 actually, Cecil. And I said, well, there's a version of me that goes 5. And then there was one that goes 2-1. And listen, this is a team that we haven't kept a clean sheet against since, I think, 2015. You know, and sometimes you can get carried away with, you know, results, and that's football. And, you know, there's positives and negatives. You know, like the positives of I sit in row 4, so it's fantastic. I'm on the action. When we score late goals down one end, I'm right there. I'm
getting wet as well.
But then the negatives of it, on a day like today when it's freezing cold and it's hammering it down with rain, I get soaking wet and I'm freezing cold. And I have to watch that drab performance in the second half. Freezing cold and soaking wet, and I've been ill all week. And to be honest, travelling all the way up here to watch that in the second half, I didn't pay good money for it. But again, it's like we're top of perspectives. We're top of the league. We're 6 points clear. But then the negatives that go with that is there's a level of expectation because we haven't won the league for so long, for 20 odd years since the Invincibles, and because we've had a few years where we finished second, and because we've bought players. It feels like a loss, and everyone's, you know, sort of. You know, there's this negativity around the result. And listen,
is it a fair feeling? Is that a fair feeling?
No, listen, you're not going to smoke at every team every week. It's just what it is. You know, the Invincibles, I heard someone say it earlier, and it's a very good point. In that season, you know, there were 12 draws in that. That, you know, you do get that. There's, you know, I've seen plenty of championship winning sides that have picked up draws. Now,
does that look like a champion winning side though? That's really the
listen,
end
listen,
result.
I don't agree with the listen. We played on Saturday and it's Thursday. I think there's plenty of time and there's rest. It was just disjointed. When you've got players like Declan Rice that don't step up to the plate. Now, he is a phenomenal player. He's a world-class player. It's all very well coveted. The last few games he's been, but then today, not he had a stink. He just wasn't at the races. For another side, that's a decent performance. But where we are at, and the level of expectation of this club, and because we haven't won the title, and that's where it's within our grasp, and we're seeing a team like City. Now listen, as well, putting into perspective, it is hammering it down with rain, it is freezing cold, but it's not the empty had like last night. When I look at situations, you'd think they was just mid-table coasting. You could hear literally the players shouting to each other throughout the game. This place was rocking, and the fans done what they needed to do. They stood up and they were counted, you know, aside from the weather, and I don't know if anyone else was. It was horrible in that first half. Absolutely, it was hammering it down. And I would have liked to have seen the team recognise that and put that sort of level of performance on. We were just disjointed. In the second half, there was a couple of balls. I did like when Madueke came on. He did make a difference. But if you're going to put a ball in the box, you need someone in the middle to stick it in the back of the net. Facts. There were chances we could have won the game. In the first half, I thought we were a lot better. I thought there was a level of intensity. I was looking at that game of football like the Bayern Munich, like the Atletico Madrid, where we're kind of sussing them out, we're teeing them up, we're running down the flanks. You know, Trossard was lively down one side, Saka was lively down the other, Zubamendi and Rice were trying to get a feel for the game, balls were going through, Gyökeres was pulling players out, defensively with good Saliba and Gabriel were moving the ball around. But the second half, we didn't turn up. And if the worrying thing as well, I think where potentially there's that PTSD element where because we've been in this situation, we've been top at Christmas, we've been points clear, and then it's thinking, is this the start of it? But you do need to remain calm and you do need to put things into perspective. We're 6 points clear. That is a good. It's 21 games. Yes, there is a lot of football, but yes, there's a lot of football. There's a lot of football to be played. We're far in. We've got Portsmouth in the FA Cup on Sunday to get a result there and move through that competition. We've got a double header with Chelsea in the Carabao Cup. We've won every Champions League game we've played. and we're in a good position. I'd bite your hand off for this position. Can you keep these performances? I think we've got Nottingham Forest coming up, Manchester United and Leeds. Manchester United could be on a bit of a turn due to the managerial situation. Obviously, Fletcher's in at the moment, and that could be a game where they turn up and play. But even that, there's a lot of football in between. We have got the blessing of resting players. We've got a game with Inter Milan, which is basically a dead rubber, and then obviously the other one with Kairat. So when you start looking at that, we've got a lot of football, but we've got the opportunity to use our squad. And does it really matter against Inter Milan if we get a result? Not really, because we'll get the result with Kairat. Now, the Nottingham Forest game has got to be a formality, and the Leeds game and the Manchester United game, what you don't want to do after this performance is pick up another draw or lose. You want to go and put down a statement performance in the Premier League, and Nottingham Forest are a team that are there for the taking. They need to get put to bed, and that's it. You just move on to the next game, move on to Portsmouth Sunday, put this one to bed. Fair play to Liverpool. They came here, they weren't intimidated, they played for a draw. Don't forget, this is the Premier League champions. They come to our place playing for a draw. They were quite happy. That's a good result for them, and that's a team that are not as good as we are. So we move on, we move forward.